We are broadcasting from Worcester City, Massachusetts, United States of America.
And we are privileged to have our guest,
Mr. Reuben Kigame,
an author, apologist, social justice activist, and a scholar with us today.
The host will be
Zairok Malesi.
Welcome. My name is Joshua Osinde.
And I'm Gertrude Osinde.
Before we move on, I want to give this chance to Gertrude to speak, and then we'll be having Mr. Reuben Kigame on stage. Stay tuned.
Thank you very much. Before I say something, I would like to just acknowledge how privileged we were to host Mr. Kigame. Such a wonderful gift for Kenya, such a brilliant mind for Kenya. And the thing I love most about him is that he is not emotional. And number two, he is so concerned about the welfare and social justice of all Kenyans. And this is what we are crying for. And before, I would like to share something about two books that make me relate to what is in his heart that he's going to discuss. And one of them I'm getting from the book, Never Split the Difference, Negotiating as If Your Life Depended on It. And this is by Chris Voss with Tal Raz. Never split the difference. And in the book, he says, no neediness, having the ready-to-walk mindset. In other words, don't be needy, but have a ready-to-walk mindset without causing toxicity. And he says, we've said previously that no deal is better than a bad deal. If you feel you can't say no, then you've taken yourself hostage. Once you are clear on what your bottom line is, you have to be willing to walk away. Never be needy for a deal. And again, Sun Tzu in The Art of War, he says something very important. And he says, deep knowledge is to be aware of disturbance before disturbance, to be aware of danger before danger, to be aware of destruction before destruction, to be aware of calamity before calamity. Strong action is training your body without being burdened by the body, exercising the mind without being used by the mind, working in the world without being affected by the world, carrying out tasks without being obstructed by tasks. He says, by deep knowledge of principle, one can change disturbance into order, change danger into safety, change destruction into survival, change calamity into fortune. By strong action on the way, one can bring the body of the realm of to the realm of longevity, bring the mind to the sphere of mystery, bring the world to the great peace, and bring tasks to great fulfillment. Why am I saying this? Sometimes I always keep saying, you don't need to know Reuben Kigame, you just need to listen to him, and your mind will be changed. Thank you very much.
Mr. Reuben Kigame was here in the city to inspire talent, spiritual growth, and also challenge us to take irrefutable directions in social justice.
And we launched our books that we've written. I've written a few books, and he has written a few books, and we have them here today. One of them is Mindset Makeover, Changing Your Mind Towards God's Destiny. A very wonderful book for your makeover. Another one that I've written is poetry, and it talks so much about social justice, and it's Since I Lost and Other Poems. Another one is on caregiving, the crafting the art of heart, Embracing Good in Care, Hopeful Dementia Years. It's about caregiving for dementia patients. And then we have another one, No Center for Africa. This is a children's book full of Bible verses. All these books are full of Bible and inspired by Bible verses. This one is from Gertrude Malesi and Ethiel Onser. And then we have another one that the copy is not here. It says The Healer of My Shame, a very wonderful book, and they are all in Amazon. If you search Joshua Osinde Ogwagwa and Gertrude Mutuha Malesi, you will get all those titles in Amazon's, and it will bless you. Thank you so much, and leave a review whenever you purchase a copy.
We are so privileged to place this into your hands. It's your time to learn, to get inspired, to change your mind. This is the season.
Thank you so much, and let's go over to our guest, Mr. Reuben Kigame, as he inspires you.
Before he comes on stage, this is Beyond Your Own Strength Studio, Worcester City, Massachusetts, United States of America.
Thank you.
Not tired of the life, we need a brand new day. With Reuben at the helm, we go pave the way. No more corruption, no more games to play. Let him lead us now, let's hear what he said. The minds but can't really see. Reuben's got vision, he's the one we need. Give Reuben a chance, let him lead the way. Bring vision for the future, shining bright today. Together we can rise, we will never fall. Under his guidance, we'll stand tall through it all.
Viewers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to welcome you to this brief session with my friend, comrade Reuben Kigame. We are going to have a very short discussion about political leadership in our country, Kenya. Now, Reuben.
Yes, sir.
I first knew you when you were at KU, Kenyatta.
Yes, and I think you were 2 years my junior.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Graduated in 1990, and you graduated in
1992.
1992.
Correct.
So you're a comrade, actually.
We are comrades.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I want to go straight to, because I've known you in other capacities, wearing different identities.
Right.
But now I want us to focus on this identity of political leadership.
Okay.
We've had very many political leaders.
Right.
By political leaders, I mean those at the top. And this is where you are focused.
Right.
I want us to start by knowing your political philosophy. What do you want to offer to Kenyans in 2027?
So my main political philosophy is character-driven transformation, where I'm imagining that the biggest problem we have in Kenya is values. We've lost our values. People have lost trust. And so I assume that if we got people that are exemplary, servant leaders, then they'll be able to serve the people and bring the transformation that we're looking for without looting, without destroying our country any further. So that's the primary thing I want to see. Now, how you do that is mainly three things. First of all, you've got to kick out corruption, because that's like the disease. You kick out corruption. Secondly, you've got to implement the constitution, because that's what will bring in the rule of law and ensure that there is nobody who is above the law. Then thirdly, you bring about what is called people-centered economic development. If you do those three things, everything else will fall in place, because we're losing a lot of money, resources through corruption, through budgeted corruption, all these tenders, and people just loot in Kenya like utadu, And then when you look at how our government abuses the separation of powers, you have state capture, parliament is no longer serving the people, and so on. It's all in violation of the very first article, of our constitution, that sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and they delegate it. So we need to go back to the constitution. And thirdly, you see, we are serving a very, colonial, set state where the resources, anything we do is really serving other powers. So we need to bring our economic transformation back to the basics, where we produce goods ourselves, where we create jobs ourselves. We are not going to look for jobs out there. First we must create the jobs. So we need to industrialize. We need to produce. Mambo ya toothpicks kutoka China. Mambo ya sugar kutoka nje, chakula. Now we are even having people colonize our food policy by GMOs and all of these things. So we have to completely wipe that. That's why I say we have to take our country back and reboot. And those are the three things that will help us. And that is kick out corruption, implement the constitution, then implement people-centered economic development.
Thank you so much. I think just to recap, because I found that so compelling, that a leader who has a compelling vision, which is anchored in the constitution, a leader who is able to live by the constitution,
and example,
by example,
yes, sir.
And then the other thing you are talking about, followership. Followers have to buy in the vision of the leader, so that whatever activities the leader does are people-centered, and they are going to impact the socio-economic welfare of
exactly. Actually, if you don't do economic planning and policy with people coming first, you get it all wrong. You see, if people are not in your equation when you're building roads, when you're implementing energy regulations, when you are doing foreign relations, if people are not at the center, you will actually end up mistreating people. You will punish people. Then you'll be serving other interests than that of the people. So the first thing I ask for me is, how will this benefit the people of Kenya first? If it's not going to benefit them, I'm not interested in it.
Correct. Correct. And the other point that I'm interested in knowing from you, and they say all politics is local. We come from the Mlembe nation, and I make no apologies.
Well, neither do I.
There is this idea of the elusive unity. What is your take on that?
So that is good and that is also bad. It's good because it means that Luya people are independent thinkers. You don't just take them this way or that way, no. And that is good. The negative side of it is that with the same kind of vigor that they are independent is exactly the same kind of vigor that can throw you out. When they dismiss you, they also dismiss you wholesale. So, however, to answer your question, I am so proud that we as a Luya community can give the nation leadership away from, the traditional play between Kikuyu leadership and Kalenjin. Kikuyu, Kalenjin. Now we need to break that cycle once and for all. And I think my candidature and, or any other Luya candidate would actually be able to give that a fair good start. And it could be Luya, it could be Luo, it could be Mijikenda, but that cycle needs to be broken.
Thank you so much. Now let us go a bit national.
Sure.
I am thinking of three groups that are going to, that is my imagination, that are going to emerge as major contenders in 2027. I'm thinking of the incumbent president. Group. I'm thinking of what I would refer to as the Asmio orphans. And then I'm thinking of the remnants of the second generation.
So the progressives.
And I'm putting you, no, let me not put you in that group.
I am in that group.
Yes, so I'm putting you in that. And then the other group of where do you think we can put the Gen Zs? Are they part of that group, or are they
Great question. So the Gen Zs actually are part of that third group, the progressive, those who want a brand new start. Yes. If you heard that song, it says, "Give Reuben a chance," because we want a brand new day. Yes. And the young people are basically saying in that song that Reuben represents like a reboot of the country, because they don't want that old style politics. And if you remember what happened in June when Parliament was stormed and so on, this was a Gen Z thing, but it was coming. We saw that in the last election, most of them did not even bother to register to vote because they didn't have a candidate that represented their interests. And even for those who registered to vote, there were more than 8 million that did not cast their ballots. Yes. So that already shows you that the country was ready for that third force, that progressive force. And the Gen Zs would fit squarely in that group because they're looking for no corruption. You know, they're looking for an economy that works for them. They've been neglected, promised left, right, and center, a lot of lies with nothing happening. So I believe that we do represent the voices of the Gen Zs, yes.
Yeah, I liked the idea of breaking this, what I would call political entitlement of the Central and Rift Valley regions. Because that would end a lot of the things that you are talking about, corruption and out of it, because in the system,
you see, the real danger, though, the real danger is tribal appointments. Yes. You see, when you have those two communities that dominate national appointments, then you do a reward thing, you know, and or you play the negative side of what Mutahi Ngunyi used to call tyranny of numbers. Yes. So the tyranny of numbers is no longer about how many votes or how many people vote for you. It ends up being the, you know, which tribe is with you. Yes. Now, so that abuse of tyranny of numbers ends up entrenching that ping pong between the between the Kikuyu and Kalenjin. So it means that whichever president comes in must appoint his people first and then appease the other, you know, big community. But, you know, even the demographics themselves are really questionable. Yes. Because, yes, I know that the Kikuyu community, for example, is fairly large, but so is the Luhya community. Yes. In fact, I would say the Luhya come next. Yes. But the impression is given that the Kalenjins come next. Yes. But so that split, you know, the removal from the two tribe dynamic in terms of leadership would actually scatter that that kind of dependency on a two tribe syndrome. But what it would do, in fact, what I'm looking for is that the person that then comes in as that third card should be national enough. Otherwise, they will do exactly the same thing. Oh, yes. And then you end up, like, if it's a Luhya who comes to power, then you find more Luhyas in office. That's something that should be stopped. Yes. So that you look at the minimum of regional balance. Yes. When you're making that key appointments. Yes. So if you have 18 ministries, I mean, we need to certainly reduce the number of ministries. If you have 18 ministries, then you have to split those across the country, because the experts in Kenya come from all the regions. Once you make it a national, you know, government, then any other subsequent appointments below them, you make again using those regional balances, so that everybody is at the table. That's the kind of leader we're looking for, that has been so evasive. And that's what I'm pledging to be able to offer to Kenyans, that I've grown up not being a tribalist myself. I've grown up, you know, with working with people from across the board, I mean, and the international community. So I'm able to bring to the table an ideology that I believe in, but also my own faith. And life is a testimony to that it will happen. Yes. Yeah.
I will be happy to see one day in Kenya a leader who is able to break what I would call ethno-political hegemony.
Yes, yes, and that is possible. I can do that.
Yes.
It's just about being given a chance.
Yes.
Kenyans realizing that maybe there are a few subtle dynamics, because greed is also propelled by the ability for someone to look at things and admire.
Yes.
So there is a sense in which even blindness, cushions me from unnecessary greed. Yani wako na macho hii ndio inatusumbua Kenya. So, but talking of which, did you know that President Roosevelt, who took America through the Great Depression, had a disability?
Oh yes.
Yeah, and Kibaki came to office in a wheelchair. So let's diffuse that. Sometimes it's thought that if you have a disability you can't lead. I'm actually wondering how I've made it. I was the first blind person to own a radio station and run it. Certainly I hope this country can give me a chance to be the world's first blind president.
And
that would even help with inclusive democracy anyways.
Yes. And lest Kenyans also forget that besides Kibaki being rated as one of the best we have had, besides being physically disabled, he also had some cognitive challenges.
But he was the best. He was an economist, so he was able to reason through the economic challenges. The problem is those who came after him then made our economy even worse. Kibaki left us just over $1 trillion of debt. Uhuru took it to about 10 trillion, and Ruto is in a race to actually throw it off that balance. So it's terrible.
I often say that Kibaki was a very good economist but a poor politician.
Yes.
And Moi was a very good politician
but a poor economist. So you need that balance.
Yeah, we need a finally. Let's talk about what I would call the elephant in the room.
Yes.
The relationship between the church and the state. And now that you are also a man of God, this government was supported by the church to a very large extent. But it appears that the church is, developing cold feet, so to say.
Yes.
I don't know, what are your views on that? So
let me first of all define myself, because a lot of people think Reuben Kigame is a pastor with a church and so on. No, I'm what you call an evangelist. So I reach out to people to, help them to see what Christianity is about, and to help them to see who Jesus was, and I do my best to live by the example of Christ. But I'm not a pastor. I'm an evangelist. In fact, I know you know that I'm an apologist, a Christian apologist. So what an apologist does is look objectively at faith. So we hold dialogues with Muslims, with Hindus, with atheists, agnostics, and so on. And that's also what I teach at the university. So for the longest time, I've been able to look at Christianity and world religions and issues from a very objective angle. So I am an evangelical Christian, but also critical of what the church took this country through. In 2022, the church leaders, a few church leaders, messed up. And even some of them took money and gifts and so on, and gave pulpits to the politicians like Ruto. I think that was a mistake. Now, I came out and said that was wrong. Even when they were going to State House to cleanse and pray and so on, I kept saying, and if you go to social media, you'll find people bashing me for saying Ruto was overdoing religion. As a president, you can't take sides with a religion. You can practice your faith in private, but you can't make one denomination or one group prime, A president is like a father. You can't say, this is my favorite child. No, you have to serve everybody equally, even those without faith, even agnostics, even atheists. You have to make appointments even of people who don't agree with you, as long as they are qualified. So that is what Ruto cannot do. And that is where the church took us wrong. So I would say perhaps that would be my greatest strength in being able to serve the nation as a father, and also being accommodating to people who believe differently from I. I'm not threatened by ideas. In fact, you remember Plato used to say that it's only philosophers that should lead. Yeah, because then they're able to look at issues. You don't go personal. You don't go making yourself rich, you know. And so, again, like Socrates, so I say the unexamined life is not worth living. So I've had a chance to examine my own life, and, you know, I decided I'll take a risk and give myself to the people of Kenya and see if they will get a philosopher king.
Oh yes, thank you so much, Reuben. It has been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, and
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
As Jesus, you know, Jesus was a radical social philosopher and reformer.
Yes, and you know, my doctoral work is in music and social justice. So that is very close to my heart. Yes. Yeah, if you take away justice from people, you become my enemy.
Oh yes.
Yes.
So on that note, viewers and listeners, wherever you are, we want to thank you so much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you.